Hi, Shawna. Welcome. And welcome everybody to the System Performance Committee. Today is October 15th. It's 2 p.m. We'll do roll call to get quorum. And then I think immediately after that, we want to select a pro tem chair. Oh, no, Kristina is here, so we don't need to actually go through that step. Sorry, folks. I'm sort of catching up now. Kristina, are you able to hear or speak?
I cannot unmute her.
You want me to try?
Yeah. She's in the attendees.
She's in the chat saying, no, I am not.
Hello.
Okay.
I just got unmuted.
Okay. Okay. I guess we will take roll really quick. Is Sherry present? No sharing? Okay. Is Ruby present?
Here.
Can everyone hear me?
Here.
Marvin, you can hear me, Marvin? Okay. So then
Can you
that
guys
means
hear me?
everybody else should be able to hear me. Okay.
And yes, I can hear you.
Marvin, you are here.
Yeah.
Kristina, you are here.
Here.
Frank? No, Frank. How about Ben?
Ben is unable to make it today.
Okay. How about Victoria?
Here.
Daniel, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Put your hands up as okay, yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see the people's names. Okay, it would help just to say, yes, I'm here, because on my screen, I can't see everybody's name on my screen. So if you can say, yay, I'm
Myself
here,
and
that
Ruby
would
have been
help
talking. Curtis,
tremendously.
can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear us, Curtis?
Okay. Victoria, you are here.
Yes, I am here.
I saw your name.
They can't hear me. You can't hear them. Are you muted?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Can you
Okay.
hear us?
I can hear you, Daniel. Yes. Okay. That
Okay,
might be
great.
part of the problem. Okay. I was trying to do roll call and I was wondering why nobody was saying anything. But Marvin said he could hear me. Marvin did like, I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna start over again. Sorry for all the confusion. Is Sherry available?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Is Ruby available or here, present?
Can you hear me, Curtis?
I can now.
Right here.
Thank you. Okay, Marvin, I know you're here.
I'm here.
Okay. Kristina, I know you're here. Frank? No Frank. Okay. How about Ben? No Ben. All right. How about Victoria?
I'm here.
Thank you, Victoria. Tamra?
I thought I saw Tamara early.
Mhm.
I see Tamara's here, called in.
Yeah,
I wonder if she just stepped away for a second.
okay. How about Mustafa? No Mustafa. Okay, and how about Shawna?
Here.
Thank you. Okay. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7, so we have quorum.
Excellent. That's great. Kristina, are you in a position to read the land acknowledgement? If not, is there anybody else that would like to? There is a link in the agenda.
This is Kristina. I won't be able, with my vision impairment, read it, but if someone else can.
I'll just, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm happy to, but do it. Can you give me 1 second to pull it up? Sorry. Or can we put it on the screen?
Yeah, I can put it up on the screen.
Thank you. The Continuum of Care Board and the Regional Homelessness Authority and System Performance Committee in all of King County is located on the unceded traditional land of the Coast Salish peoples. We honor this land and its peoples past and present and are committed to directing funding and resources to organizations led by and in support of Native and Indigenous peoples.
Thank you, Ruby. And Tamara, or excuse me, Kristina, just trying to gauge what you're able to
So people won't stand in
accomplish today.
I'm able to, I just need to have, I did not get the agenda mailed to me, so emailed to me, so I don't have a copy of it.
It's this part right here, right?
So if I
Oh.
could get a little bit of help since I don't have it.
Yeah, let me share my screen and then we can all look at it together. Do that again. So thank you for the land acknowledgement, Ruby. Next is public comment. And this is a chance for us to look either in the chat or call in if there's anybody that wants to give a public comment. Curtis, do we have anybody?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. And one other thing, since a bunch of us don't see who's there, if you could just say who is speaking when you go to speak. Thank you.
Of
course, thanks, Kristina.
I don't, no, there's no one who wants to do public speaking at this point. Not that I'm aware of anyway.
Okay, great. Well, Kristina, I know you might not be in a position to see the next part on the agenda. This is a pretty standard intro stuff. For the co-chairs out there, Ruby and Marvin and Kristina, so glad you're here. Tamara, if you can hear us now. Any board updates, either at the COC level or any other committees that we may need to know about?
This is Kristina, and I want to remind everybody, I know I'm bad with the dates. Maybe Catherine, catch me if I say it wrong. November 18th, we are going to be at the Bellevue College for the next COC convening from 9 until 4. Lunch will be served, and we will have discussions from Tamara. We will have some behavioral health directors, county individuals, et cetera, coming and on a panel around behavioral health care services that are serving our neighbors who are unhoused. And it is bound to be a great day. Daniel will be speaking. And so again, mark your calendars for November 18th.
Yeah, that's a good update. Thanks, Kristina. I'm excited for that as well. This is Ruby, by the way, co-chair of the COC board. And we are also got our continuum of care board meeting on, I believe it's the 6th of November, if I'm remembering correctly. I should have my calendar up already. I apologize about that, but it'll be from 2 to 4. Yeah, it looks like November 5th. I'm sorry. It'll be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and we're looking forward to that as well. There hasn't been a lot of updates though, just unless I missed something, there's been no updates on the NOFO yet. So that's kind of what we would be focusing on really right now, is doing that. But we're still trudging along at the charter revision work group. We're going to be meeting this Friday, and I don't think there's many updates though right now.
Ruby, if I could maybe shine a spotlight a little bit on the COC charter work group. Any updates from that work group? I know we don't hear a lot about it on this committee, but I know that there's a revision to the overall COC charter. That's just plugging along. Anything
Yeah.
for this group?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that there's been a chance to engage with the work that we're doing. There was a questionnaire that was sent out to the entire membership. And so we've been, really trying to facilitate that discussion surrounding what the membership wants, what the KCRHA wants, and what the COC board wants, and trying to make all that kind of come together into a nice cohesive piece. There's been a few shifts in how we've approached it, but it's all just in good collaboration and trying to bring in all the voices to the table that are needed there. And so, yeah, we're going to be meeting this Friday, and we'll probably have more updates the next meeting that we have, because we're going to be really engaging with some of the language on it this time around. So excited to see that. And we're not quite we don't have a public meeting, but we are going to be having a pretty thorough like Victor is the liaison, and he's been doing a really good job at bringing these updates to the COC board. So I would offer that anyone that's interested to reach out to Victor Liu, and they could find out when we're going to be having our overview of the entire charter, because I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it's been delayed. That's because we just got some input from the membership. So
That's great. And I guess awareness for this group, the way I'm connecting the dots here, is that this charter review, once finalized, it will have provisions for the System Performance Committee, likely probably stay the same. I'm attending those and championing areas where we need some clarity. So far I've just been an observer, but helping to write sort of the administrative legalese parts of that charter with Kelsey, just to make sure we have all our facts on being the HMIS lead, and just description of the System Performance Committee. But eventually I think there could be some updated provisions about anything from how we conduct the meetings to how we record them. We could have small changes or big changes, Ruby. I know that it's still very much in progress, but I think those are the updates that the group is hoping to get as we move forward.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up. We want to make sure. I believe that it's the charter revisions, like the way that we're aiming to address the committees and everything is to make them more fluid and make it more, like fluid with each other, right? We want to make sure the communications are in place and that we're following the actual protocols that need to be followed, just in case we don't want to be running things differently over here than we are at other work groups and committees. It gets a little messy that way. So we're just trying to, really bring everything into really tighten it up, I guess is how I would put it. Yeah. But I don't foresee any huge changes. The System Performance Committee is kind of its own body of work. So, we're just going to be fine tuning things, if anything.
Okay, that's great to hear. I know again, not to put you on the spot, you just happen to be here. There was discussion in one of the meetings about just looking at the total amount of committees we have and streamlining or merging. Let us know if any of those discussions happen, and if we can have representation from any one of our members on those particulars. I'm sure any one of us would be happy to join. Me, of course, as KCRJ staff would be there, but yeah.
And we also, this is Kristina, we also have our own little charter for the, I'm gonna call it charter for the System Performance Committee. And in the upcoming year, I'm gonna really suggest that we update that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I want to be bringing in everybody's voices. So if there's any suggestions or anything that people feel could be helping this committee move along, I'd be happy to hear them and bring them to the work group. The sooner the better, and I can go ahead and type my email down in the chat so everyone can have that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ruby. And likewise, like you, I haven't seen a lot of like extreme revisions or anything that would affect our committee that I can see. Thanks for that. Anybody else with any committee or board updates? Otherwise, I'll jump right into kind of the latest status update on our data standard changes.
Go ahead. This is Kristina.
Oh, thank you, Kristina. And this is Daniel again. I just wanted to give an update on where we are. October 1st came and went. That was the day that we were required to have the data standards updates in the HMIS, which included a number of updates, primarily a new data element, 4.21 sex, and a rollback on some data collection that we opted to continue locally, which is to continue to collect vulnerabilities on veterans, as well as gender, so that we can continue to do our VBNL work. This is the veteran by name list. This is the best practice on identifying and helping folks through the homeless system. This is the by name list work. If you want to know more about that, feel free to chat me in an email. I can get any member on this committee up to date on that. And then so that's really important that we're continuing to collect gender, and we're also going to continue to collect translation services so that we can continue to monitor what languages people are using as they're interacting and engaging with caseworkers, so that we can support that work and support the appropriate level of language services for providers. And if we see any trending upwards or downwards, just keep an eye on monitoring that and observing that. I want to just say a special thank you to the BitFocus team, Lauren and Rohan, who I believe are still on the call here, and Angie and that whole BitFocus team who worked very quickly with very little information from HUD, but a few specification documents to get us to October 1st and to have ensured that we are collecting all the data that we are required to do. That said, the notices went out to providers, and we had some trainings recently where one today, in fact, where we went over the data standards. So providers, our HMIS leads all got a Q&A session today that they were able to engage and ask questions. There weren't a lot, and people seem to be just going with the flow on it with the data standard changes. Now, one thing I want to remind this group is for all of the data elements that HUD has put forth, we do not have a manual as HMIS administrators, which we would typically have had one months in advance. We don't have one, and with the federal government shutdown, I don't see that coming until at least that is resolved. So we're a little in the dark on those changes and the rationale and some of the other context that HUD usually gives with new data. So in light of that, we did get direction from HUD TA, and we are acting on that, which is there is no data quality measurements for the next 90 days as we move forward with these new data standard updates. With that, Lauren, could I tag you in and maybe you could do a recap on the announcements we've made so far on how we've informed providers and users on the data standard updates, just from your kind of from your location and like your role?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Lauren Searles. I use she, her pronouns. Yeah, from BritFocus's perspective, just as Daniel mentioned, although we don't have HUD's data standards manual or the data dictionary that we would expect, we have updated the system for users as of October 1st. Before that launch, we did go through our approved communication plan, which included 3 emails that went out to all HMIS users, informing them of the changes, informing them of what those HMIS HUD requirements would be, how to interact with those new fields, and then as well reaffirming the local COC decisions to continue collecting certain fields as well. We also included approved KCRHA language to support, reaffirm, and ensure users are prioritizing, client relationships with when we are seeing these potentially controversial fields and perhaps potentially controversial decisions. We're, in the midst of a government shutdown right now. We really wanted to ensure that to the best of our ability, we are really reaffirming that client relationships should always be prioritized. And if there are fields that are going to, really come in between case manager relationships with clients, we have given those users, direct steps of, how to interact with that field. We're not really looking at data quality for those controversial fields at this point in time. So we really wanted agencies to not feel any pressure to, enter in data that would be uncomfortable for clients. So we, in addition to, kind of that language and education there in the emails, we also did include, a PDF of all of the data standards changes. Also reminded folks that when the HUD manuals and HUD documents are published, we will make those readily available for users as well. So just really trying to find that great balance of informing folks of the changes, letting them know we understand that not all the information is available, and also providing some education and support and reaffirming the community's prioritization of client safety and client relationship, really ensuring that, person-centered approach is still the community's priority, even though we may not see that reflected in HUD's guidance at this time. But Daniel, is there any other element that you'd want me to touch on?
No,
Sure.
I thank you for that. I wanted to just say, for this group in particular, what does this mean for you all? Well, this is an assurance to this oversight committee of the HMIS that we are in compliance with our data system. It's been updated to HUD specifications, and we're doing our best to navigate and manage the training for users so they know how to continue to collect data as they have before and now currently are. So I think that's the most important thing. We remain in compliance with our HMIS. Questions, thoughts, comments on that?
Hi, this is Ruby. So I understand the government's going through it right now. So I'm just trying to figure out, so what we're saying here is that there was data changes that were made. We're not sure why the changes were made or what the changes are made for, but we're trying to still maneuver that? Or is it more like we're just going with the ones that we had last year? Is that kind of what realm we're in? I just want to be pretty clear about what's going on.
Yeah, HUD had a number of data elements that they retired.
Right. Okay.
And we're going to continue to collect those locally because they are part of performance metrics in a number of contracts, part of our agreement with KCRHA's agreement with other local governments that continue to report on the intersectionalities of race, gender, and housing outcomes. So we continue to collect gender. Where Lauren, and I think this answers your question, Ruby. What and Lauren, maybe you can speak to this more. So I'm not because you experienced this firsthand. But HUD sends over to our HMIS vendor, BitFocus. They sent them over some specifications, and then you get those changed in the HMIS so users can collect data properly per HUD's requirements. But what they didn't do is send us the manual for myself and others to know why they added that data element and how they usually they give some guidance on how to ask the question or integrate it into your workflow. And we just don't have that. Lauren, anything to add on that process on how you all receive information from HUD?
No, Daniel, that's a great explanation. Yeah, being at BitFocus, we are, an HMIS vendor, so we are in specific spaces with HUD. Not me personally, but our internal teams are. So vendors, although we weren't provided the published documentation, our internal engineering and development teams were provided limited specs or limited information about these new fields. We are not authorized to share that information outside of vendor staff. So that isn't information we can share beyond just what those fields will look like in the system, which we did share with KCRHA, and also we can share that with the users. But yes, all of that information, once HUD does have the data standards manual and data dictionary, those are all expected documents that are available for any community member to review.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I've read those in the past, so I appreciate bringing those up, because I feel like, and forgive me, and I apologize for thinking this way, but it sounds a little like nerve-wracking to hear that we're having substantial changes that maybe are going to, but I think we already saw this coming. And so I appreciate you telling us what you are able to speak to. It gives me a full better picture of what exactly we're talking about here. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Lauren and Daniel.
Yeah, and Ruby, just to answer, I think just very precisely your question, the reason we're here in this situation with the data standards updates is because of a federal executive order by the administration, and in order to comply with that, HUD, this is the changes that we saw from HUD is the retirement of that gender field, which locally it's not, but because we're allowed per statute to continue to collect what we'd like locally. So we can't take away, but we can continue to add what we want. But it really comes from that executive order. I forget the number, but I can get the exact one if you wanted to look it over. It's what I think commonly is known as the anti-DEI
Right.
executive order.
Yeah, the one of the very first ones. That was, yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's what we're talking about. So thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate it.
And I know Marvin and then Shawna. Oh, Marvin, I think we.
I'm sorry. Let me talk away while I'm on mute. I was going to give space to Shawna if she had a question. I wanted to understand how procedurally, since BitFocus works and changes with the users and our staff, how is the board disseminated information for good continued oversight? Anyone can answer that one.
I'm not sure if I entirely understood the second part of that.
I
Could you
didn't
say
share
that?
the board being included as part of folks to get notified as work is being completed. Just was asking what process do we have to keep track of these and be made aware of them as time goes forward. I'm concerned because I thought that when we talked about this piece, that there would be some reporting mechanism in place, and I didn't hear it echoed when they were sharing these changes. Thanks.
I see. I think this space is one where we would report out any status changes to this group. Obviously, if we want to kind of zoom in on the data, we did some preliminary data checks, and we see that caseworkers are asking the new gender question, for example, and they're continuing to collect vulnerabilities for veterans. So it looks as though all are entering data pretty normally. One thing we did uncover though, or it was news for me. I did not see on our team, we did not see the new sex field being collected for coordinated entry. It just wasn't streaming in. So anyone that got an enrollment in coordinated entry over the last 2 weeks, we weren't seeing that. And then clarified with the BitFocus team, again, just the utmost competency on that team. They let me know that coordinated entry actually, HUD is not requiring coordinated entry to collect the sex field for clients, which is actually a little bit of a question mark. Wouldn't have expected that. That was a little unusual to see, but really, without the manual, we don't have what HUD would typically give us as their rationale for why they made the changes. Shawna
Thanks,
or
Daniel.
Marvin?
Thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, from the provider frontline point of view, that when there are changes made to the user interface to enter either new people into the system or enroll people into new programs, that the intake forms also get updated, because it's really hard when the online form is changed, either in order or what, and then but the paper form that you may fill out with someone is different. It makes it just more cumbersome to do the data entry. So just wanted to flag that.
Good flag. If I'm understanding, we actually the BitFocus team was on the project plan to update the paper forms, so those are updated on the website. Is that what you're asking, Shawna, or you're asking something different?
No, that I hadn't looked, but as you were talking before we got into the gender discussion, you were talking about different things that had been updated already. It just flagged me because we actually have our own form that I created before BitFocus created generic forms, and it's out of order now. So it's on my to-do list to do internally, but I think system-wide it should be also, and I guess my point is to A, update it, but then B, make sure that the flow is the same as it is on the screen, right? Like the gender, I know the sex question was added to the very end.
Yeah.
But in the forms, it's up at the top, right? So then that's like a lot of flipping back and forth. So if the flow of the form could match the flow of what's on the questions on the screen, it just makes data entry easier.
Oh, that's great. That's so we keep a log of a change management log of things for client improvements. I'll take note of that. I'm sure Lauren and Rohan are also taking note of that. That's something we'll keep in mind as we make updates, especially if it's going to improve the user experience. That's really important for us. Thanks, Lauren. Anything else? I think right now it's just sort of a wait and see what happens in the next 90 days. Do we get a manual or not? But again, for this group, the important thing is we're in compliance with our HMIS locally. And as the HMIS, part of the HMIS administrator team here, there is no requirement that agencies have any sort of level of data quality with this. Upcoming though, that said, depending on what we get from the manual and what we look at, I might be coming back to this group early 2026, requesting a review of what data quality standards we want for that data element. And then we can have a robust conversation about whether that element is even going to be something we would use in this community or not. So for local reporting. So bigger conversations to come on that. And then Kristina, keeping you following along. I know you can't see the agenda here. We come to the part of the discussion that you wanted to take a few minutes to talk about potentially adding some data elements for exit reasons
Yes.
in some programs, and just kind of, I think you just wanted to talk just generally about, performance evaluations of programs and what that, improvement could look like in terms of data collection and the data management team here. So I'll hand it over to you. I think you had a better vision of that. But there you go.
Well, I've been thinking a lot and looking a lot of the people who are being, I'm going to call ejected, evicted, removed from these programs that we are talking about. And I wanted to, I don't feel like we do our part in really collecting some exit data. Why are people being moved? What are they being moved from? Why? And was just thinking about what there's a lot of people that are leaving the programs for evictions, problems, etc. And then as programs, buildings close, programs shutter, etc. And I just had asked about collecting some more of that data, so then a bunch of us do also advocate at the city, county, state, and federal level. And it's and it just really made me think about that. We don't collect a lot of that. Now, Daniel was going to check into the city or county is collecting a little piece of that information on one little program specifically. And I wanted to see about getting maybe a well-written question to look at that, because I really think that why are people exiting programs? There are people that do get gainfully employed and are able to pay, or however they're able to pay, etc. But next year, December of 2026, we have all those emergency choice vouchers are gone. And so, which granted, they were given over to the health or the housing authorities, but those could be people coming back into our system again. And so, I wanted to see about you and discuss it with you all. What do you guys think of doing more on collecting what exit data, individuals exit data looks like? I know Daniel and his team are quite working on a lot, so we might not be able to have staff time to be able to really look at the data and that, but that doesn't mean by not having that data collected, if it's not too much of a hassle, why was somebody exited, or why was somebody exited from the last program? For me, it was a emergency or weather disaster that took me out of my house, that I've not been able to find new housing because of that. And so, just, thinking about that. And so I wanted to bring it for you guys and have a robust discussion about it. And what do you guys think? Did I miss anything, Daniel?
I know that was great. I'm just already, like, my interest is sparking here. I think one benefit of something like an additional, I do want to caution any addition that we ask is another case manager and a person's time, and it all adds up. So that's one thing, just consider. But one thing that I heard from Tamara during one of our planning sessions was that, if someone's exiting a program, and when I see the data, it's to their own rental program, that doesn't tell me that the reason they left was because maybe they were no longer feeling that supported in a PSH or rapid rehousing, and they felt like they just wanted to move on, or if there was an eviction. But what we would see in the data is just, like, exited back to the streets. We wouldn't know the reason for it if it was, like Tamara or like Kristina said, an eviction. And so I do like where where that Kristina brought this up, because it does parallel some of the well-being that I think we want to move forward with measuring, and I know Tamara is leading in that space. But knowing why people leave programs. And then I think the second part is, if we want to learn more about this, I know the PME team, our data team partners at the county, they are doing a very similar evaluation, but they're only doing it one program at a time. They're not doing it at a system level, which I think they could speak more to that, but I'd offer up seeing if we can get them to present on that. if that's an interest. And then the last thing I'll say is this would be something that would go on a 2026 work plan for this committee. Nothing that we could start new this year. With that, I'll step back. Ruby, Tamara, please.
Tamara, do you want to lead us off? I know this is one of your passion points.
Oh, I mean, you go ahead. I don't want to take your space.
No, it's good. I was just gonna bring up, really quick, like I love this conversation. I think Kristina and Tamara both know how and probably this committee knows how I feel about the evictions that happen to people and exiting them back to the streets. I feel very strongly about this, and I think that there's data sets out there that we could absolutely tap into. I'm happy to look at some of the previous studies that have been maybe not on permanent supportive housing or from shelters, but I'm also trying to lean into that idea that Daniel brought up of, case managers and the workload that goes with and then, I saw a very good comment come in there in the chat, so I'm excited to hear from that. But anyway, what I was trying to say was just basically that, trying to not be encumbersome on the case management load and the caseworker load, and just like figuring out what it would mean to have an ending point of, an exit interview or something, because as we know, there's so many different exits out of housing, but what are those actually, and just does anybody have the ability to appeal them? What, maybe the data set is more at an administrative level of like, is there a process to appeal, that sort of thing.
Hey, thank you for that. And this is exactly what I am envisioning with this well-being audit tool. And the tracking the exit data also will kind of give us some insight on the quality of services and the quality of the policies and programs by which organizations are operating. And so the intention of getting like more qualitative data is to do a full infusion of well-being into our systems so that we can decolonize them and create community-driven solutions and relational accountability that uplifts and centers the voices of the folks who have been most marginalized and impacted by federal policies, local policies, things that have actively harmed and attempted to erase specific communities. And so, I'm not going to be quiet. So this is a pivotal moment, and this is a really beautiful group of folks to start transforming data collection and to start like transforming our mindsets and culture about how we think about information and advocacy. So that's. Oh yeah, and I also want to see like the racial equity piece of the exit data, like who's being the most impacted and why. But I'm sure that's everybody's question. So
yeah, I can also just share briefly because Daniel is kind of intimating, and Kristina were also speaking to this a bit. But so King County is currently through the Health Through Housing program, which is funding about 1,400 units of housing. We are collecting exit reason among those programs. And this is a newer piece of a data that we decided to look into because we were having, those questions of like, all right, someone's leaving to homelessness, why, et cetera. So we're collecting two separate pieces within this. One is the reason for the exit. So it could be that there were safety concerns with the individual. It could be that they found housing. It could be that they reconnected with family. It could be that they were hospitalized, so lots of different reasons for why someone might be exiting the program. And then we're also within the, specifically within housing programs, we are asking whether they were evicted or if they had a mutual termination of their lease, just knowing that evictions can have a pretty sizable impact on someone's future housing prospects. So those are at a high level the questions that we are asking. Across the board within HMIS, we do get some exit information, specifically where someone is exiting to, and this is just digging in deeper into that why piece. So happy to share out as we continue to learn more about this. The providers that we spoke to who are currently implementing it, we're pretty excited about being able to share this information, both sharing the successes that their clients are having, as well as some of the challenges that they're facing on the ground. It's very early days yet, and we're still in a learning process, but happy to share with folks what that all looks like in a more formalized process if you'd like.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm kind of like chomping at the bit and like reacting like a big child. Yes, give it to me because I'm so excited. I can include this. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will be quiet, but yes, please share. And I am going to put my email in the chat.
I think Ruby had her hand raised.
Oh, I did, but I already spoke. Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate it.
All right.
Anyone else have anything to contribute to this discussion?
Danielle, you're muted.
How about now? Oh, I just wanted to say that Victoria and I was in a space with Victoria, and they brought this up, and it just so happened that Kristina, the very next Tuesday, brought the same thing up. So I just really want this group to really consider what it, as you move forward. I'd say we could integrate this into a 2026 project plan, which we'll do in December. We'll get to looking at what we want to accomplish in the next year, and then if we don't need to reinvent, and learn from our partners, I think, consider that as well. I mean, Victoria is saying that they're doing that work, and maybe we can learn from that, and don't need to necessarily add anything more to the HMIS. But these are all things that, of course, this group is in charge of doing. But I do like to leverage where we can to multiply our efforts without having to duplicate and run parallel experiments or hypothesis or just data collection. So my recommendation is, and Kristina, if you're okay with it, is we put this on the docket to look at for our 2026 work plan, and then from there see if we can get one or two committee members that will champion the and be the lead on exploring that, and then coming back with a recommendation on how to move forward.
That sounds perfect.
Hi, this is Ruby. Just kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying there, Daniel. I know that we've had discussion about the well-being metrics, and stuff like that. I'm wondering if this is kind of where these two marry and could be, so we're not duplicating and not trying to step on anyone's toes. We could all kind of blend it together. Just a thought I'm throwing out there.
Oh yeah, I totally see a connection there. That is absolutely like we can weave and braid and be awesome.
Well, that's great. That I think this is probably a good stopping point for our break. And then we'll come back and unless Kristina, you want to close this out in some other way, but it looks like a good time for a break.
No, it's perfect. And yeah, and also things like one of our, just side note, but one permanent supportive housing building that has 54 units had 7 deaths this last year. And so it's like, not only does it open that, but it's like could also impact like other work the county is doing too. So I was thinking of that as well. So not only with Tamara, but also working together with someplace like public health, etc. Because it's important. It's all well-being. Once we get people into housed, if we have a high rate of people dying, they're not living well. You know, and so why aren't they living well? What are they missing? And what is needed to stay, you know, not only in the housing, but live? And so that has been really on my heart as this building had just another death 2 days ago. And I'm like, wow. And so, yeah, we want to know our neighbors are doing okay when we get them into housing and they're able to live healthy and stuff. And there's a lot of data that just might not, or a lot of aspects that might not come under the SBC, but I think it's always important to be able to have data. So that was my thought on it. And we'll come back from a break. And how much time do you need, Daniel?
I think we have on the agenda 10 minutes, coming back at 3:10. That
Okay,
seems reasonable.
perfect. We'll see you all at 3:10. Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see you.
Are we all almost back now?
Hi,
I'm back.
I'm back.
I'm back. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
back.
Yep.
Okay, on to the next thing, Daniel.
Yep. Just 1 second here. I'm gonna pull up a file, folks. I'm still here, everybody. Just 1 second. For context, I'm just trying to navigate 2 devices at once so I can do this and be on the computer at the same time. Okay. Okay. Can I get some feedback? Is everyone seeing my screen?
No. Not
No.
yet.
Okay.
No.
No.
How about now? Better?
Not yet.
Nope.
Nope, no screen.
Okay.
Nope.
There we go. Okay. That should have done it.
Yes, we can see you now.
Yes.
Okay. So the wonderful BitFocus team has been very generous with timelines. And one of the things that I was just slightly misworded on the agenda was just the approval of our HMIS training survey. And I wanted to go through this today for everyone and just get confirmation that we're good to send this out. So this is the same survey that we did last year. So it's really good if we we want to take the survey each year so that we can compare results. So this is the continuation of the survey from last year. And I'm just going to go through and these are pretty standard questions. And if you were here last year and the year before, there should be no surprises for you. We'd like to look at the beginning of the survey, who of course we're surveying. So we have that list of different positions there that we see at the agencies. Second, how often do you use the HMIS? So this is really trying to help us do a breakdown of our highest utilizers versus our ad hoc users and what their habits are. And then how long have you been using Clarity Human Services? So we can know the level of experience that we're seeing from individuals. Again, at a more granular level, looking at the individual's roles. Here we're asking feedback. We newly implemented our inventory tool where we're linking enrollments to the unit and site building inventory. So that's really important for occupancy. And we're asking people here how confident do they feel using that. This question is really important as well because we're in the final phase of getting our entry exit shelters to be entering into our live inventory. So this is important to continue to measure. 6, the following questions ask about experience, satisfaction, and the confidence with the system. And really where we're getting to with these questions is helping us to understand the training needs for next year. How many of these individuals are using reports and generating reports? And then what kinds, and then the quality of the experience as they use the reporting tools in the system. And Shawna, I'm thinking about you earlier with one of your comments of, things that we could do to update paper forms. Those are good things for us to be on the lookout for, because there are going to be items that aren't necessarily captured in the survey. But always good to think about those things. Shawna, you had your hand raised. Did you have a question? Happy to stop.
Yeah, I'm just, so this is the annual survey for all of HMIS, but then at the top of the form, it said training satisfaction. So I'm a little bit confused if this is the annual training for all of the annual survey for all of HMIS, or just for when folks take trainings.
Yes, that's me misspeaking. This is the annual HMIS survey. Lauren, I'm not mistaken on that, right? This is our.
It seems like it's the full survey, but it says.
It is.
Sorry.
I think it just might be a verbiage thing.
That is correct.
On there.
This is the annual user survey, which also includes the training feedback that we did in the past. So it includes both. And it's the same as the last year, the 2024 questions.
And then at the end of this, I will ask Lauren and Rohan to just give a quick couple minutes on what we do once we receive this, so you all get the full package of what happens next after this. And so just going down here, continuation of that experience, satisfaction there. And you could see here, most of these questions are going to be like, you agree or strongly disagree. And then in questions like this, we're asking specifically, is it easy to navigate? I am often able to easily find what I'm looking for. And then, down towards the bottom, you can see on this particular question, I experienced minimal crashes of the software. I'm satisfied with the software. And so they get to select one of these and whether or not they agree or disagree or are neutral on it. So we're able to kind of slice and dice this in a few different ways as we look at it. And then I think I went through that one there. When they are using reports, what is the experience again with that? Number 9, on average, how long does it take to create the profile and enroll a client into the program with Clarity Human Services? So really looking at the time commitments that we have and how long it does take an individual to do the basic record keeping of HMIS. It's important for us to know. How long does it take to run and produce reports? This is optimization feedback to know if people are experiencing lag, and then inspect, is this a software thing, an internet thing? Is this a user training piece? And then in this area here, it's really looking at what features are they using. Again, for training and satisfaction, this really helps us to hone in on where we might see deficits in understanding or learning, so that we can support users in 2026 with those trainings based on their usage and what they're using. And that goes on. We have quite a few features in HMIS. And then here is a scale, a Likert scale of rating their experience. You can see it goes from poor to excellent. And then they have an ability, users, to give any additional comments. That's just a comment text field. And then we get into the training piece of this. So we can just get a sense of how people are engaging with trainings, how often, the frequency. For question 14, obviously, what types of sessions have you attended? And something that we started doing, and thank you, Lauren and Rohan, for this, is taking attendance, so we know who is coming and which agencies, so that I can follow up with them if I'm seeing that their diet is a little lean in attending trainings, and if we're seeing some issues there, reinforcing that these are required trainings for the most part, unless there's some exemption, but we really do want our users going to trainings. And what topic specific to King County HMIS trainings did you attend in 2025? Again, just getting very specific on which training they did go to. And then for questions 16, 17, and 18, you can see those there. This is about the usefulness of those trainings and the format. And which we know that there are learners of all types. Some people like to listen in, some people like to, they're doers, so they like to be hands-on and do it on their own as they're learning. So really trying to hone in on how they're getting the information and how can we better support and streamline that for the broader user group. And then just seeing that our techniques are useful. Are they watching the trainings? Are they looking at recordings? And then really getting right into it, which is, do you feel you had a lack of HMIS training, or what supports do you need? So really getting to the center of it. What can we do better? What can we improve? So really hearing directly from the user. And then asking here, again, more specific questions. Would you find it useful for a trainer to provide specific technical support or training on HMIS via Zoom to your agency? So, preferences on in-person or online. And then what training topics? And you could see here a list of our training topics. Client-centered approach to data collection. I think in this atmosphere, super important to just continue to affirm client-centered approaches to data collection. Understanding chronic homelessness. These are definitions. These definitions, often are linked to eligibility. Understanding rapid housing, youth serving agencies. Youth data collection is, especially from the state, the Department of Commerce, it's much more robust than other programs. So there's definitely areas of training that are important for those who work in those spaces. Domestic violence is another one that I think is very important. As we head into 2026, we will have our coordinated entry DV for domestic violence survivors. And then you can see the list goes on there of different domains that are standard in HMIS trainings. Coordinated entry, outreach. I would say for coordinated entry, we tend to see a lot of fanfare for that, and people are very engaged when we train on coordinated entry. And then we just also give a text box there if there's something that they'd like to see in terms of training. And then what aspect of training focused on HMIS reports would be most useful for you? So if you can gain a sense that we're asking a pretty comprehensive set of questions about their experience. In this question in 21 even, we're trying to understand, do they engage in coordinated entry? So we can see just by volume of people working in a certain domain, do we need to continue those trainings, just because we know there's a high amount of users that are going to be doing that kind of work. Obviously the housing triage tool also associated with coordinated entry. Just gauging if people have completed those, if they do that work, so we can train for that work. Then going in on the last couple of questions here, how useful is the credential training? Gauging that again, a Likert scale. Do they have just suggestions for improvement? So hearing directly from the people doing this work, and then just understanding more about how they use this for coordinated entry or not. And then do you have suggestions on what type of training or resources would be best to support your learning? And then just trying to understand the landscape of scheduling. What's a good time for you to receive these trainings? Because we know people tend to be either busy during the day with their caseloads, or they may be free on Fridays. They don't see clients. So trying to ask to see so we can meet them where they're at. And then these are the last few questions. Now, 30 questions on this survey is quite a bit. Last year, we extended out the survey to take the survey for users from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, but we didn't see a difference between the amount of people that answered the survey in the first few days to when we checked at the 2-week mark, and then no more, we didn't get any more surveys in that 3rd week. So extending it really didn't have much of an impact. which was something we wanted to test last year. With that, I'll step back. Would love some discussion and thoughts from folks. Shawna, I see your hand up.
Yeah. Can you go back up to like by 6, 7, 8?
Absolutely.
Please, thank you. On number 6, so on 1 through 8 of that, is there a scale what they have to say for each one of those? Disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree? Is that what that's saying?
Yes.
Because all of it is positive. There's no difficulty ones I noticed. But if they're scaling each one of those, then people could say disagree.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, go ahead,
Right?
Lauren.
Is that correct?
Each
Okay.
statement has a scale. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then that is the same for number 8, I noticed. And then I had a note for I had a note for what training would you like to see, but then it came up. And another one is that I think that people would really appreciate having a voice if we could say just what is one improvement that you would like to see for HMIS, or what one thing would make HMIS easier for you. And you might see some like general themes bubbling up. Like I know reports is an ongoing thing. A lot of people would like to be able to like click the fields that they want in their report instead of having to go through 20 different reports to find which one has the right fields that they're looking for. So, and if you say one thing, it's not like you're asking for a thesis paper, right? Like people can choose the one thing that's most irritating to them. And then on number 26, you asked again what suggestions of training or resources, which was earlier, but I think this 26 is for assessors. Is that true? Because it's right after all the assessor the coordinated entry and the assessor questions.
Yes, and I was going to actually tag in Rohan on this one. Rohan, there is some logic to the survey that I think is important to know.
Correct. Yeah, all of these questions won't appear, and there is some restrictions or some branching out based on the questions that you select. So yes.
So where it seems duplicative, Shawna, you're right. It's because it will lead the user back to that question if they selected. Yeah, so there's some branching in here that isn't well captured in this format, but it's sort of a trade-off. We either see it here or it gets a little messy trying to do it live.
Yeah. And then my only other thing I want to say is that I was at a meeting with someone from Reach, and we restarted the Seattle Outreach Committee meeting. And so we're meeting monthly now. And at that meeting, I mentioned the survey and I said, we didn't get very many results, and this is your one opportunity to give feedback that's really listened to. And they all took notes. So I think that if we hit groups like that, I know that you guys have so much going on and so many people, but I mean, I'll tell you that in the 300 or 400 emails I receive a day, KCRHA goes to the if I have time pile to read, unless Larky and I are working on something specific, right? So like, I think that when you go to specific groups and say, hey, the survey's coming up, we really value your input and really would love to hear from you, people kind of feel more personally invited rather than a generic email, which are also important. Like you said, different people like different ways of learning, different people like different ways of receiving information too. Some like to be personally invited. Some, if something's going out to 1,000 people, they don't know, oh, do they really need my opinion? Probably not. I don't have time for that. So, I know that you guys, you talk to the senior leaders group, but I think I shared this with you when you and I met, that last year when it was shared at the senior leader group meeting, I got online right then during the meeting to pull up the email, and the deadline had already passed. So like, it was not on my radar until they said, oh, we just did this survey. And I was like, oh, crap, let me do that real quick. And
And it had
the deadline
closed.
had already
Oh,
passed. So,
oh no.
so I think depending on when we want to launch this, now that you start talking about it so that it's on people's radar when they do get the email or when it's mentioned at another meeting, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Lauren. So today, what I wanted to do is pass this by the group. I don't think there's any issue, Lauren, with adding this last question here. I think Shawna or others, if you have one, what is one thing you'd like to have improved? Text box, pretty easy to add that. So I think we're good to go with this right now as the survey. I do want to hear from Lauren though. Lauren, on that topic that Shawna's bringing up, timeline wise, and then how do you send these out to users? Is it just like a mail merge with the HMIS users in the system? If you could talk a little bit about that, that will help us to know like how we could support pinging different groups and saying, please do this. Shawna calls her her group, I call my group, others can like be tapping on each other's shoulders. How would we say that this would go into the inbox of the HMIS user based on who's in the system?
Yeah, well, first I'll say we have no problem with adding that additional question. That's very easy to add in. Then secondarily, yes, so our team is really focused on, HMIS users. That is our, main community group or population. So we're interacting with HMIS agency administrators, security officers, coordinated entry trainers, and HMIS users. So we did lift it up in the quarterly HMIS agency administrators meeting today. That is our core group of agency representatives that we are interacting with throughout the year, in addition to frontline HMIS users. So for this survey, we are sending, or we plan to send out communications in addition to reminders in meetings like we did today. We will have a communication plan to send reminders to all active HMIS users in this community. It's about 1,500 people that have active HMIS user accounts. In addition to that, we are not, I will say, that has been our communication plan in the past that has been approved by KCRHA. We, based on our contracted services, are really the hand at the whim of KCRHA. So if KCRHA does want us to send specific emails to specific groups, we are happy to do so. We just currently operate from the HMIS perspective and based on HMIS account emails, just because we are not, our team is not a local team. So we are not necessarily part of all local community groups. So that's why we really operate from a place of sharing information with our HMIS agency leads and users, and then really rely on encouraging agency leads to share that information with those community groups, as you all are the subject matter experts for the community. That's really how our communication has been in the past. I've really relying on agency leads as those local subject matter experts to share information in spaces that maybe we are missing. But if KCRHA does want us to alter our communication plan, we are happy to do so. We just, we operate under our contract with KCRHA, so.
Yeah, thank you for that, Lauren. Not trying to make you litigate the contract with us all here. So I think what we're hearing in Shawna and all is that I think we all agree that we want to get the farthest reach we can. I totally think that that's important and necessary, because that was one critique we got from Frank Scott, who last year was, like we did not give enough time. But I'm not thinking, Shawna, maybe you're thinking this too. It's not a time issue. It's a marketing issue. Do people know that it's dropped? Do they know that they should be doing the link? And I've got a couple notes here at the bottom. I can get on my comms team, our KCRHA newsletter, to make sure it's on there. And I want to add everyone on the committee to the email when it goes out, so that everyone on this committee is aware, and then you can make your personal touch, I think, in the different groups that you're in. If you would like, if everyone's in agreement, I can add you to that when this goes out. And then I can have actually KCRHA staff. Now, this is only for programs that we contract with, but it's still a large amount. I can have those portfolio managers. I can work with the chief over there on the programs team and see about getting them to do a sort of a spam follow-up email saying this is really important for us, and then kind of hit it in a couple of different directions. Thoughts about that, or anything that I might miss that would be good here? Sort of on that marketing piece. Marvin?
I think that, oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think I had written, right before you wrote it, I wrote in the chat that it might be a good idea to have contract monitors, reaffirm. So I think that's a really good idea, because if people miss the email, then someone that they work with on a regular basis can say, hey, by the way. And then you and I, when we met, we talked about length of time that it was out, but also time of year. So like if it's 2 weeks, but it's while everybody's doing their year-end appeal, it might get lost, right? So I think it depends on when it gets dropped as to whether we want 2 weeks or 3 weeks to have it out. That's my 2 cents.
And Shawna, just a little bit more about that. What you're saying is that end of year, people are asking for a lot of donations. They're really involved in development work, so it could get lost in that.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, this is the small agency talking, right? Like right now, this meeting is the only meeting I'm having this week that does not have to do with our big fundraiser next week.
Mm.
We do the year-end appeal. When you get in a super huge agency, you have different departments doing that. And so it's not such a factor, but you have contracted quite a few small agencies. And, I would say the majority of folks have their biggest fundraiser between September and end of October. And then we go right into the holidays, and then we go right into the year-end appeal, which most nonprofits get 30% or more of their annual income in December. So it's a super important time of year. Not that this isn't important, but in the urgent and important, it falls off the urgent, right? Because it's really about getting the emails out and getting the letters out and sending thank you notes and doing social media posts and like all the things. So again, from a small agency perspective, just know that September through the end of the year is the busiest time of year for any of us that are considered nonprofits, which I think is all of us.
Thanks, Shawna. Daniel, did you have any follow-up?
No, I'm writing that down
Okay.
so that we can consider on the timing piece.
Let me know when you're ready to go.
Please go, Marvin. Yeah.
Oh, simply put, Shawna elevated one point. I'm going to elevate it that our lived experience, whether from whatever point of view, we need to take into account so that we are included in some way, shape, form, or fashion so that we can continue oversight. Once again, it might not be received by all. I don't want us to step away from actually thinking in terms of how do we follow up on the work that we've commissioned. So I have no problem with the questions that were added. And I would like to hear the feedback that we get once it goes into use. Thanks.
Yeah, Marvin, I mean, my first thought there, and I'm going to hand it back over to the BitFocus team to help with this piece. But there, at the end of this, what we'll get is a report of all of the results. And then I think really that's where this group is activated to then act on the results. And I'm imagining those with lived experience would be, we would want them in that part of the process. And also if folks are users in HMIS who have lived experience, we would capture that. But I don't believe we ask if anyone has lived experience in any of the questions. But I don't think that's exactly what you're asking, Marvin, is it?
Not really. No, I'm sorry. It was part of the question I asked. It wasn't the complete response I was looking for. We highlighted that last time we did surveys that there was a low completion rate or comebacks for it. We talked about it. I wanted to make sure we create the space for the discussing the efficacy of these surveys, once they're complete. And that may be part of a work plan or not. So, thanks.
I see. Yeah. And then Lauren or Rohan, if you could talk a little bit about what we should expect once the results are in.
Yeah, similar to what you mentioned already, Daniel, after the survey is completed, one of our contract deliverables is to first conduct this survey and then conduct the analysis and a formal report out. Traditionally, what we've done last year is we present that report in a space with KCRHA, our customer, for review. And then also we prepare a presentation that is presented in this space to SPC, which is where we heard that feedback last year. So we'll have a report out on if we are seeing any trends, specific highlighted data as well. From my understanding, and Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Daniel was working with an SPC member to review these questions, but Daniel can kind of speak to your experience. But certainly, Marvin, the intent is for these questions and for this survey to always be reviewed by this committee in some fashion for input to certainly include folks of all experiences to input what types of questions are important to collect in this community. This is traditionally not a survey created by BitFocus, but created by community members, and we're just implementing the survey. But yes, there should be, we will prepare a report based on the analysis and have that ready for KCRHA review and this committee's review in November.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate that. And then Lauren, you said the date again. Could you say what the proposed date that we had, the tentative one?
Yeah, let's see. So today's the 15th. If this survey does get approved, we can have it activated as soon as the end of the week so that we have 2 complete weeks of October for the survey to be open. So, potentially activating the survey the 16th or the 17th. The survey would be open for the week of the 20th as well as the week of the 27th. Potentially with, that would be 2 complete weeks plus 1 or 2 days. The survey could potentially close on October 31st. Then our team would have 2 weeks of analysis and report time with materials able to be presented at the next scheduled SPC in November.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, I was going to mention as well, one reason or one actionable step that we heard last year, in addition to the survey, was because of the low engagement rate. One thing we did take into action and was approved was we implemented post Zoom meeting surveys. That's something our team has started implementing for 2025. So in addition to this annual survey, we also send out quick surveys of 3 questions every time our team hosts a meeting for our team to collect recurring feedback of any meetings that we're hosting. And we include that on a quarterly level and include that in a quarterly report out to our customer, just as an action step to attempt to collect kind of more recurring feedback over time, as opposed to the only feedback we're receiving is this one annual survey. So we do, that was kind of one action step our team took in order to try to compensate for if folks aren't able to, enter their feedback during this one time of the year is not their only opportunity to provide feedback. But we do, every time our team hosts an HMIS training or a technical support call, there's a 3-question Zoom survey that's sent out to all attendees. And we also have prepared that for our Q4 report out, which can be available in the next SPC if KCRHA would like as well. But just wanted to lift up that we did implement that in 2025 based on the feedback from this committee in 2024.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, this has been a process of improvement over the years. So thank you. And thank you for those additional details. So I'd like to bring it to a vote here that we're good with using the questions. We'll add Shawna's additional questions here, which is just that plainly spoken, what is one thing you would like improved about the HMIS? And then I think we've got some tactics here, if you will, on how to broaden our reach. And then we'll send the survey out in the last 2 weeks plus a few days of October. But I'm sorry, the date again on that one. For some reason it's just not registering for me.
No problem. Yeah, so our proposed survey activation date with approval would be as early as tomorrow, October 16th. And then the survey would close October 31st.
Okay, and I'm just looking at the chat here.
Daniel, if it's going to be live and end on the 31st, then I would suggest someone saying something at Friday's senior leader meeting. And unfortunately, I can't be at that on Friday.
Okay.
Because that's the only one in before it closes is this Friday, because it's the 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, I can make a commitment to that. My Fridays are usually pretty open, so I could be a step in.
Okay.
If you gear me up with the right links and stuff, happy to
Okay.
go. Yeah.
I'll do an email with you and Alice, and it's Fridays at 2, and usually KCRHA business goes at the top.
Excellent. Yeah, I can
Okay.
definitely coordinate that.
And then just reframing where my comment about being aware of the time of year, you said it might pull people away from fundraising season. I think more accurately, it might get lost in
Yeah.
season, and people won't get to it until after it's closed, like I did last year.
I think let's try out these steps. I think we've got some good ones in here, adding the contract managers at KCRHA. I'll go to the Sketch meetup on Friday, and then it'll go to all users, of course, and then we'll add the SPC members so everyone on here can promote in their own spaces the launch of it. And then I think that's an improvement from last year in terms of our reach. And I guess I'd like to make an ask to the co-chair to vote to move forward with this year's annual survey.
Hi, this is Kristina. I'm gonna ask for a motion and a second for that we move forward on this year's annual survey.
So moved.
I know Tamara was one of them. I saw her name pop up. Who is the is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and we got Shawna seconding. All in favor, please signify by raising hand, coming off, etc. And mine is say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes, and thank you all. We have 11 minutes left. So Daniel, what do we got to get in that 11 minutes?
You know, what I wanted to do in the last 11 minutes, looking at the agenda, I don't think we have time to do a deep dive into any one of those topics, but I wanted to share with everybody on the HMIS lead series evaluation. I wanted to lower anxieties for everybody. I know I met with all of you at the prior to the last SBC meeting, touching base with you about the different areas of oversight. This is an ongoing project, so it's nothing that we ever necessarily finish. So if anyone's out there, I think it was I can't remember exactly. There was one person that emailed me recently. There's no missed deadlines. This is just something that we just do as a committee, is constant oversight of the different areas of the HMIS. So the things that we talked about in our one-on-one, those still stand. I do have a technical issue that I'm trying to work with my IT department on. I have a host of documents that I want to be able to share so that we can edit together. And I'm just stuck in process with being able to do that with OneDrive and also using our SharePoint site. So I'm running into some technical issues. I should have that resolved in the next week or two. And so anyone who's waiting, just stuck in process on technically the technical piece of trying to share out a lot of different documents, and then making sure that we can have shared input on that. We just don't use Google Docs or anything like that at KCRHA. So I have to have some workarounds. And I think that's it. I think we can close out. I don't think there's any reason we need to stretch this out. That's just a status update on that one.
Anything,
Handing it back to you.
anything else anybody wishes to share in the last 9 minutes?
Yes, me, just very quickly.
Go ahead.
Let me put my video back on. I mentioned our luncheon is next Thursday. It's the ICS Community of Hope Luncheon. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. And we are going to have a guest speaker, someone who went through our recovery shelter, and he's going to share his story. And so if anyone would like to attend, we'd love to have you. And I'll put the link in the chat.
Also, did we approve September's meeting minutes at the beginning of this meeting?
Do we need to? We're a work group, aren't we not?
Oh, my fault. My
No,
fault.
I think it's something that we haven't done in the past, but I don't know if we don't want to. It's kind of up to the committee, I think, but it wouldn't be bad to approve them. Kristina, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, we've never done it before because we're a work group and we've been told we don't need to.
Oh, okay. Well, beg my pardon. I'm just getting used to all this, so no worries.
If we're a work group, then why is our name committee? That's my only point.
Yeah.
What we can do, Curtis and I can work together with Catherine, and we can get an answer on if that's a requirement for the committee, and
Yeah.
or if it's a sort of a cultural thing for different committees to elect to do or not. And then if we do, we'll start it in earnest at the next meeting once we get an answer for folks, or bring it up to see what we want to do.
And we should come up in the charter review group too.
That's right. I was just thinking that as well.
Well, don't you worry. It's on my mind now.
Yeah. It's just not something we've ever done before. So anything else from our group?
This is Daniel. I just want to say thank you all for showing up and continuing to show up. Thank you, Curtis, for being the organizer behind the scenes and keeping things on track. Just huge bonus having Curtis help us. Catherine as well, with her wisdom and experience with COC and previous roles, been just really a tremendous support for me. So I want to thank those two. And then during these trying times, I just want to promote everyone to check in on each other, check in on the quiet ones, and we're all going through these changes together, and be kind to one another and reach out if you need anything. I think we all care very deeply about this work and each other.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. And our next meeting is, I'm just gonna look, November 19th.
All right, let's do it.
Go
That's
Mariners!
That's not the day before Thanksgiving. Oh no. Okay, we're good.
Go Mariners. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Bye.